and gentlemen, welcome to our third virtual forum on Cambodia-Indonesia friendship. Let me introduce myself. My name is Baureaksmey Prak from the Royal University of Fine Arts, Cambodia, together with my colleague Israr Ardiansyah from Medang Heritage Society, Indonesia. Welcome, Bro Israr. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Ms. Laxmi. It's indeed a great honor for us to co-moderator the Positive Forum. I hope all participants also share the same feeling with us and learn a lot from this virtual forum on Cambodia-Indonesia friendship.
May I also invite all our participants to respect the national anthem of the two countries, Cambodia and Indonesia, that will be playing next. Please. Thank you, Dr. Santoso. Thank you, Enka. Appreciate for that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Sokhan for Cambodia to welcome remark. Thank you. Dr. Sokhan, may I invite you to give a welcome remark, please?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Baureaksmey. Good afternoon, Dr. Santoso. Good afternoon, Professor Haryono. Good afternoon, Mr. Israr Ardiansyah. And thank you very much. And good afternoon to Dr. Darith. Thank you very much for accepting as speakers and as moderator to this third virtual meeting. I have noted three special things from this third meeting. We have up to 61, 62 participants. It is the first time that we are more successful comparing to the previous forum. The second thing is that we have now two speakers, one from each country, which may take longer, and so it's a special day also, and we may hear a lot of good experience sharing from the high-ranking speakers. The third special thing is that our forum is now holding during something happened in Europe. It's now the second day of the war in Ukraine. We cannot do much as a normal citizen. We can only wish and hope that this war will be ended soon, and that not much more life of people will get lost from this war. So back to our forum, I hope that all of you who have attended, so a good afternoon to all members who have attended this forum also, and that you all will find this forum of interest for you, especially for the experience sharing from Dr. Darith and Dr. Haryono to us, and that everyone will be ready again to join our next forum again. Yeah, and we are now up to 66 participants, very successful. So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sokhan. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Budiono Santoso from Medang Heritage Society. Dr. Budiono Santoso is actually a doctor and he is a pharmacologist, but he has a strong interest, deep interest in cultural heritage in Indonesia. So, Pak Budiono Santoso, without further ado, for your welcoming remark, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Pak Israr Ardiansyah, Ibu Laksmi, Professor Timbul, Dr. Darith, Dr. Sokhan. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you in the third forum of Cambodia Indonesia Friendship. We are honored to have two distinguished speakers, Professor Timbul Haryono and Dr. Darith, who will present their histories, their knowledge about the ancient history of Khmer Empire and Java Kingdom, Medang Kingdom. So, on behalf of Medang Heritage Society, I would also thank you very much for Professor Timbul and Dr. Darith for sharing with us their knowledge and experience. With this forum, I would hope it will improve our understanding about our history in the past, and hope in the next round of the forum, we will discuss also the history of the Cambodia-Indonesia relationship during modern time. Thank you very much, and hope we'll enjoy the forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Budiono Santoso. All right. Professor, Doctor, ladies and gentlemen, our today's topic is relations between the Khmer Empire and the Java Kingdom, which we are presented by our distinguished speakers. From Cambodia, we will have Dr. Darith, a lecturer at the Royal University of Fine Arts. Dr. Darith will share his presentation on the history of Cambodia. I would like also to give the summary of the Dr. Darith biography. Dr. Darith currently is a director of the Department of Monument and Archaeology within the National Authority of Prak here, Cambodia. Dr. Darith received his bachelor degree of art from the Royal University of Fine Arts in Phnom Penh, Cambodia in 1995. He pursued his master's degree from Kyoto University in 2001 and his doctoral degree from Osaka University in Japan in 2010. From 2000 to 2021, he's teaching at two universities in Cambodia. It's Royal University of Fine Arts and Panyasastra University, following major history of Khmer ceramic and Khmer and world history. He worked at the Authority for Protection of Sites and Management of Angkor Apsara, we call Apsara National Authority. Within his position, he coordinated a spectrum of diverse projects between Apsara Authority and numerous international projects. Since July 2021, Dr. Darith he's promoted to be a director of the Department of Monument and Archaeology within the National Authority of Prak. Dr. Darith has done a main academic research in stoneware ceramic during the Angkor period from 9 to 15 centuries. Over the course of his career, he's excavated more than 10 stoneware kilns. In 2015, he took all over the management of the ceramic excavated from the Angkor area. Dr. Darith was a Nalanda Sri Vijaya Center Senior Visiting Fellow in Singapore in 2014 to 2015, and he has co-directed previous joint research and field school projects. Dr. Darith was a visiting scholar at Cornell University of United States in 2018, where he led a collaborative seminar entitled Water, Arts and Politics in South and Southeast Asia. So this is from our Cambodia side. For Bro Israr, would you tell us what is the presentation from Indonesia?
Sorry. Indeed, I can't wait to hear this history of Cambodia, which I believe share the same origin with us as Southeast Asian nations. So from Indonesia, we have invited Professor Dr. Timbul Haryono, M.Sc. Professor Timbul is an archaeologist from Universitas Gadjah Mada. He's still very active until now, although formally he has been on retirement. Professor Timbul is also an expert or master of shadow puppet. We call it wayang in Indonesia, and Japanese traditional music or gamelan. He always inspires and provokes us to learn about our cultural heritage. And Professor Timbul, when he was a student at Gadjah Mada University, he's also a teacher, elementary school teacher. He taught Bahasa Indonesia and Javan language in elementary school near his house. And he also teach cultural Javanese arts, Javanese cultural in Kalasan as well. And because he was born and lived in the surrounding area of Prambanan World Heritage Compound, he also has deep enthusiasm in archaeology. He graduated, he earned his bachelor degree from Gadjah Mada University, He earned his Master's of Science from the University of Pennsylvania, and he also obtained his doctorate from Universitas Gadjah Mada. He was also a vice dean at the School of Cultural Science of Humanities at Gadjah Mada University. He was also acting dean in his faculty. He's also a former chairman of academic commission at Universitas Gadjah Mada's academic senate. So without further ado, I think we will listen to the presentation of these interesting speakers, Pak Timbul and Pak Darith. So I'll give it back to Ms. Laksmi.
Thank you so much, Prof. Israr. I believe that we can't wait to hear the very interesting presentation from our distinguished speakers. So shall we start with Professor Timbul?
Oh, yes, indeed. Professor Timbul, without further ado, the time is yours. Is 40 or 50 minutes enough for your presentation? We'll be very flexible for this because we will have 3 hours.
Yeah, may not enough. Yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, participants of this very, very important meeting. And first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the organizing committee that inviting me to be the one of the speaker. My voice is here. Okay.
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Let me have
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Screen sharing is already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My speak on this opportunity is notes on cultural and heritage of the ancient Java, especially date back to the 8th and the 10th century. This is based on the archaeological evidence that during this period, we have a Salindra dynasty in Java. Let me close. If we talk about culture, culture is a system. Generally speaking, culture is a system created by people to adapt with to its environment. The system of culture can be classified into 3 subsystems. That's ideology, social, and technology. So the function of the artifact is related to this subsystem. And when we talk about the ancient history of Java during this period, we should pay little attention about the process of Indianization. The coming of the influence of Indian culture makes some scholars to hypothesize in terms of Indian colonization. Kshatriya hypothesis, Vaishya hypothesis. Indian culture considered to be the only donor culture by this time, and Javanese culture considered to be a recipient culture. However, with all the evidence until now, Indonesian or Javanese culture actively play important role in this culture contact between India and Java. At the beginning of the 20th century, at the end of the 19th century, one of the Dutch scholars, Dr. G.L. Brandes, gave the hypothesis that there are 10 cultural traits of Java before the coming of Indian influence. These cultural traits as a basic cultural traits owned by the Japanese people. They are wayang, puppetry, shadow puppet. We have many puppetry in Indonesia. Also, coin system, Japanese music, and Japanese music is very important in that in relief of the Borobudur and in Prambanan, and also mentioned in the ancient inscription, we have true evidence of the richness of the gamelan or music. And also the interinsular transportation, because we are from the insular countries, and the others is Japanese song, astronomy, irrigation system, and metallurgy, and also bureaucracy. Relation between ancient Khmer and ancient Java at least had occurred in the period of Mataram Kingdom during what we call Salandra dynasty in the 8th century. And the relationship of these two might be due to similarities of cultural element approached by these two people. One of these cultural elements that are concept of ancient is ancient cosmology, and also the cult of Tiwaraja that may be very important in Cambodia, and the temple architecture, and also the concept of king of the universe Chakravartin. Culture is actually a symbol. That is, we should translate, we should understanding what message of the culture to our generation. In cosmology, both Hindu and in Buddhist cosmology, as we have known that the Greek cosmos, macrocosmos, it consists of insular island named Jambu Dwipa, surrounded by 7 seas of salt water, sugarcane, juice, wine, cut meat, fresh water. These all symbolizing fertility and abundance. At the Jambu Dwipa, the central Jambu Dwipa, it's Mount Meru, grows with granting jambu tree, with the place of gods, surrounded by the place of 8 gods, Lokapala, mean watch protector, especially Indra in the east, Agni in the southeast, Yama at south, Niriti southwest, Varuna west, Vayu northwest, Kuvera northwest. This Lokapala is carved also in the most important, very famous temple, Hindu temple in Prambanan. And if we see the arrangement of the temple complex of Hindu temple Prambanan area, it is picturing Shiva temple dedicated to Shiva, flanked by Brahma and Vishnu in the north. Gods of Lokapala were carved at the base of Shiva temple. And in Buddhist cosmology, it's not uh, different. Now, let me note about the Chakravartin. Chakravartin is much of universal ruler. Concept of universal king in ancient Japanese tradition, as shown in all Japanese Ramayana, was found in the earliest inscription of Mulawarman in Kalimantan, Borneo, dated to the 7th century. Being universal rulers should have a kind of 7 jewels called Saptaratna, Riya, Chakra, Gadjah, Aswa, Cintamani, Sri, Mr. and General. This is the mark for the Chakravartin. Saptaratna, what we call it, were carved on the pedestal of Amokapasa statue sent to Sumatra by Kertanagara, the last king of Singasari. And at the beginning of the 8th century, at least, we have a single dynasty, means Shalendra dynasty. Fortunately, that we found an ancient inscription in Java called inscription of Sochomerto, discovered in the north part of central Java, mentioned that Sanjaya was the first king of dynasty, Shalendra dynasty, with Mataram as a capital, located at Medang in Medang Imroh, Bumi Mataram, Medang Ripop itu, Medang Imat Meratipura. And by the inscription, we know that the following kings after Sanjaya moved or changed the location of the capital in many times due to natural disaster or war. Because there's local belief that Shah location already disturbed by any natural disaster or war, considered to be not a holy place anymore. And let me talk about the foreigner in Mataram Kingdom. From the inscription, we know that at least at the 880, that is inscription of Kuti, they mention mangkana ikang warga di dalam lurnya Cempa, Kleng, Haria, Singa, Gula, Swalika, Malayala, Karnake, Remnam, Khmer, Awang, that we clearly show that during this period, already many foreigners and also from the Champa, we call Champa in inscription, and Khmer in Cambodia. The foreigners seem to have special position as part of what we call it a member of Dharma Haji. Now we have another concept that is mountain. Mountain and concept of Japanese culture. In prehistoric period, mountain was believed to be place for the ancestor. Let me say that Shailendra means Shaila or Shela means mountain, and Indra means the king. The king of the mountain refers to the god of Indra. And this inscription at century AD mentioned that Punta Shailendra is the ancestor of Japanese king. And now we come to the cult of Devaraja. Almost in all of the part of Southeast Asian, the cult of Devaraja, the very important concept of the king as a representation of God in the world. And very interesting also that in Java during this period, we have not only a monuments, temple monument, but we have also the art literature, which call it Old Japanese Ramayana. Ramayana is important as element of Indian culture in Java. Yeah. Ramayana is becoming a metaphor. The metaphor is the message is the triumph of good over the evil, where the good is personified by the king Rama, and the king and the evil is personified by Ravana. The old Japanese Ramayana led to many branch of the art performance. Like we have also in the inscription that that's mawayang buat yang mean to perform wayang for the ancestor. Macarita Ramayana, storytelling about Ramayana. In visual art, as tested in relief, the great Prambanan temple. So, suffice to say that Ramayana is a very popular story in Java since ancient time. In the old Japanese Ramayana, we have a good example about the what we call it Ashtabrata, that means the eightfold meritorious acts. This become most influential passage of Japanese literature, even until the present day. That the culture, that Japanese culture also not to forget about what we call it is Ashtabrata. They are adjectives in the body of king, which gave him power without equal. Because the king is supposed to be respected, because deities are in him. They are adjectives in the body of the king, give him power without equal. These gods are Indra, Yama, Surya, Chandra, Ardila, Wera, Paruna, and Agni as well. And the meaning of Ashtabrata passage, the meritorious act of Indra is giving the rain to satisfy the world. And the meritorious of Yama is punishing the evil doer and also the wrongdoer. And the meritorious of sun god, Ravi, always absorbed slowly, not forcefully. Anila, the wind, in investigating the conduct and behavior of the people. So your investigation should be carried out in a way. Chandra, to make the world happy. Povera, enjoy the pleasure and luxury of life, but not overdo. Karuna gives no freedom to vex people, and Agni always burns the enemy. This is a Ata Prata patient. We have now come to the example of the temple in Java during this period. There are three kind of temple uh, related to the religion, and most of the oldest temple come to the north part of Java in Hindu, and then southwards we have Borobudur Plateau in Buddhist, Borobudur, Mendut, and southwards we have the mixture between Hindu and Buddhist. This is the Plateau. The architecture of this temple is so different with other temple. And this is the art component of the Dieng Plateau. And this is what we call it, the temple named Bima Temple. Very interesting that during the 7th or beginning of the 8th century, the name of temple derived from the name of the Mahabharata. But actually, it's nothing to do with this Mahabharata story, because it was given by the local people. And at the south of the plateau, we have the compound of the Hindu temple also. And we seen here that the temple is not so big monument. It's very, very simple architecture. But this is the other compound. But come to the south, the Borobudur temple is very, very important. And because in some of the opinion that the Borobudur, not only the temple is for Buddhism, but there is a mixture in architecture from the prehistoric period. Yeah. This is the temple, Buddhist temple close to Prambanan area, the Sewu temple, and this is Buddhist temple also from the Kalasan, from the 8th century. We have 2 stories in this case, and very impressive is the Hindu temple at Prambanan. As we know that this temple has a in Manyat, the temple dedicated to Trimurti, Shiva temple flanked by Brahma and Vishnu. And Ramayana, what I have said before, is carved on this temple Prambanan, Shiva temple, and also Brahma temple. The example of the style of the Ramayana relief during the 8th century is like this. Yeah. It's very important. Yeah. The relief where gold steel was captured by Ramayana, then changed to the original form, Maricha. What we have of this picture is actually an example of how the Japanese people related with the what happened in the present day. I mean, if people very interested only in material culture, it is very dangerous because they touch only material culture, just as Devi Sita, after asked for the golden deed, and they be captured by Ravana. This is what we call it, the metaphoric people. And from the relief of Ramayana in Brahma and Vishnu, Shiva temple, then we make development in art. There's a very, very important performance art, that is the story of Ramayana ballet, which up to the present still performed close to the temple. And not only to this kind of performance, but also the puppet, little puppet has this one. This is little puppet of Japanese to show the figure of Ravana and different figure of Ravana in different style of the puppet. And if we look the ground plan of this temple, for instance, temple, we have a kind of mandala where the central yard is the main mandala and surrounded by many small mandala, many what we call it the small temple Parvada has also happened in Prambanan too. So we can figure out that this layout of this temple illustration of the situation of the kingdom in the 8th century, that the center is the main kingdom and surrounded by the small king in this area. And also what we just say that temple is the symbol of the universe. The temple is not mountain like this one, Candi Jawi we call it in East period. And most striking feature is that most of the Japanese temple surrounded by the lake, small lake. It's just like imitation of the Greek ocean in there. Yeah. And this ground plan, the other temple in Buddhist temple close to Prambanan, always we have the inner yard and the outer yard. There are many small temples. And interesting is that in the small temple, Parvara temple, we found many short inscriptions which mention about the king. And great importance is that this is the Buddhist temple, Lausan, but in one of the small temple is carved short inscription mention the name Pikatan, the king from Hindu kingdom. There is should be figured out that the situation of that time is in peace. There's no confrontation between these two big religions, Buddha and Hindu, peacefully. Yeah. From the culture, at the culture threat is the artifact. We have example of the gold artifact, of course, that during the ancient Japanese kingdom, metallurgy is always important and has been practiced according to the material. We have such a made of bronze, made of gold, made of copper and things like that. Yeah. And also the Japanese is capable of in technique, metallurgical technique. Yeah. This is one of the example of the artifact which symbolizing of the linga and yoni. This in Hindu artifact. Very interesting. I will show you is the bowl. We've discovered that this bowl was come from near Prambanan temple, Buddhist temple. And interestingly enough, that the pole is carved on the Ramayana. Sorry, we have the Ramayana story carved on this pole, and in some respect, this Ramayana story in pole is similar with that of Ramayana in the temple. And very, very important I just mentioned is that at the bottom of the pole, there's a short inscription that paleographically from the date of the 8th century or 9th century. Yeah. We have about 30 kilogram gold artifact here. Yeah. Is this only some of them? This is all Ramayana, and this is a kind or water. So I would not present the whole of the cultural traits here, but from some of the part of the cultural traits basically owned by the Japanese culture is that the Mataram Kingdom has various kind of culture, both tangible and intangible culture as well. It is an heritage. It is a cultural heritage of Medang. The heritage has to be handed down from generation to generation to make generation pay respect to heritage. It is our responsibility to take care so there would not be any disturbance, because it's very important in making up and strengthen the cultural identity to Indonesian. So with this seminar, I believe that all of the two countries would have very tight relationship because of similarity about the culture traits, as I before mentioned. We must aware to have past culture, so it must be studied. Yeah. And there is a good sentence: learning the past is to improve the future. It make the future better. Indonesian should practice outlooking philosophy. We should always see what happened in the out of the country, because the modern world is full of culture change. Yeah? So in closing, understanding and respecting the culture of the people will make the world in peace. Thank you very much. Back to Mr. Israr. And to end this slide, there's what we call it Gunungan, the mountain in Seto Papet, symbolizes of the temple of the macrocosmos. Thank you very much. Okay, please.
Thank you so much, Professor Timbul, for a very interesting sharing of ancient culture of Java, Indonesia. So for all of our participants, if you have any question, please save it for later. Now we will listen to the presentation from Dr. Darith. So Dr. Darith, it is your time. You have 40 minutes for your presentation, please.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the history of Cambodia from Funon to modern period. Please, next, please. Next, please.
Okay.
So this is the Cambodian history, the timeline of Cambodian history. So from approximately 70,000 BC to 0, we call a prehistory. From the 1st to 6th century is the proto-history or Funan period. And from the 7th to 8th century is the pre-Angkor period or Chenla period. And Angkor period from approximately 9th to 15th century. And then the middle period from 16th to 18th century, and modern period from 19th to present. So this is a very brief of Cambodian history. So this is the prehistory period from approximately 70,000 BC until now. Mostly it's very small, but the prehistory in Cambodia we can find at the oldest one at the Battambang province called Lang Spien at the northwest of Cambodia. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the prehistory artifact. You can see some artifacts like pottery, bronze, gold, and silver artifacts were excavated. Many prehistorical sites in Cambodia. Next, please. So as you can see, the before the Indian come, so Cambodia believe in animism. That means believe in nature, such as stone, mountain, wind, big tree. So the Indianization, as Professor Haryono mentioned, that is the cultural spread of Indian culture to Southeast Asia from approximately the 1st century of our Common Era. So both Hinduism and Buddhism come at the same time in Cambodia, as well as in Indonesia also. So in what Indian provide Cambodia with a writing system, method for poetry, a Sanskrit to write, in its vocabulary of social hierarchy, Buddhism, ideal of universal kinship, any way of looking at politics, sociology, architecture, iconography, astronomy, and artistic. So without India, Angkor Wat would never have been built, and yet Angkor Wat was never an Indian city. So I think it's similar to Indonesia, as Professor Haryono mentioned, what India provide to Cambodia and Indonesia. So not only contact with India, Cambodia also have contact with China, especially during the Three Kingdom period. In Cambodia, used to call this period called Sam Kok, Three Kingdom period from 220 to 280. So at the time, Chinese divided into three. One is Wei, Shu, and Wu. Wu is close to the sea, so it's easy to travel to Southeast Asia to record about Southeast Asian country. Next, please. So from the Wu Kingdom, Wu sent an envoy to record about Cambodia. At that time, the Chinese record Cambodia from the 1st to 6th century as Funan. Funan was a Chinese name of the ancient Cambodia located around the Mekong Delta of southern Cambodia and Vietnam, present day. But before it was Cambodia. Two Chinese diplomats, Kang Tai and Chu Ying, represent the Wu Kingdom, came to Funan in the mid of 3rd century and wrote about the Funan. Next, please. Yeah, at the time, Okao was an international trading port of Funan. So Funan established a strong system of maritime trade between China and India. From the archaeological evidence, Roman coin, Chinese and Indian artifacts were found at Funan area. So Funan must have been a powerful trading state at the time. So Angkor Bray was the capital of Funan, linked with Okao by the canal system about 90 kilometers from Okao to Angkor Bray city. So Funan maritime trade declined when the maritime trade shifted to Sumatra during the rise of the Sriwijaya trade empire. So Funan was absorbed in the 6th century by another Khmer polity called Chenla. So this is the manuscript about the Chinese manuscript about Indianization at Funan. So then the king was ruled by a Brahman named Kaudinja. A spirit announced to him that he would be called upon to govern Funan. So he traveled there, and the people of Funan came out to meet him and proclaimed him king. So he changed the institution to follow Indian model. He wanted his subjects stop to digging well and dig reservoir in the future. Several dozen families could then unite and use one of those in common. So that's why there are a lot of water reservoir called Barai in Khmer was constructed following the Indian model. So this is a Chinese script again. So the king dwelling have a double terrace on it. Palisade like take the place of wall in 45 places. The houses are covered with leaves of a plant which grow on the edge of the sea. These leaves are 6 to 7 feet long and take the form of a fish. The king rides mounted on an elephant. His subjects are ugly and black. So Chinese call Cambodia ugly and black because different from Chinese because they are white. So when they see people black, so they call ugly and black. So their hair is frizzy. They wear neither clothing nor shoe. For living, they cultivate the soil. They sow one and reap for three. So these barbarians are not without their own history book. So Chinese call Cambodian barbarian. And they even have archive for their text. So it means that Cambodia have their own writing system and text as a document. So this is the map showing about the location of the Funan area at the south. You can see the yellow circle, the Funan, Okao. Okao was the international trading port, and Angkor Bray was the capital of Funan. So from Okao to Funan, they are connected by canal system. And then this is the first to approximately 6th century. And then the capital moved to Chenla here in the middle of Cambodia called Chenla Sambo Prikuk. So Sambo Prikuk is the water Chenla, and another one Chenla located in Laos now called Wat Pu area. That is land Chenla. Then the Chenla was the capital from 6th to 8th century. Then the capital moved from Chenla to Angkor area from approximately 9th to 15th century. So the red zone. So you can see Angkor was the capital of Cambodia during 6th century. And then from 15th century, the capital moved to Udong. Yeah, moved to Long Vec and Udong and Phnom Penh somewhere around here. Okay, next please. So this is the contact with India. We can see during the Funan period from approximately 1 to 6th century, we can see the presence of Hinduism and Buddhism. So you can see the sculpture of Buddha and Vishnu. Okay, next please. So this is the Angkor Wat in Takao province. That is the first city in Southeast Asia that dated approximately 400 BC to 550 CE. So this is the moat city. It's about like 10 to 15 meter wide and 7 to 8 meter high, and surrounded by water. Next, please. So this is the artifact at the side, and you can see the 6 wall, the high wall, and inside the wall there are brick. So that means they construct the brick inside and cover with the soil to make the very high wall, about some places 7-8 meter high. Okay, next please. Yeah, so this is the early temple in Funan area. It called on the left, you can see the stone temple. It's not look like the Cambodian temple at all. It named Ashram Moharisai. So it looked like very Indian style temple. Some historians believe that this is the Gupta style of the Indian temple. So on the right hand is the Prasat Phnom Da. So Prasat Phnom Da was built originally on the top of Phnom Da temple by a brick, but later during the 11th century, the King Suryavarman I reconstruct by building the temple with the laterite. Okay, next please. Next please. Okay, Chenla period from 6th to 8th century. Okay, so this is still the Chinese text about Chenla in the annual of the Sui dynasty. Next, please. So Chenla were divided in two in the early 8th century. So one is land Chenla and one is water Chenla. Next. So land Chenla is located at Wat Po area called Linga Parvata in Champasa province in Laos. And water Chenla is located at Sambo Prekuk called Isanapura in Kampong Thom province. So yeah, during the Chenla period, the 8th century, there was relations with Java Empire, as Professor Haryono mentioned. Java at the time very strong empire and controlled almost Southeast Asia. Next, please. So this is the water Chenla capital at Sambo Prekuk. In the middle of Cambodia, and you can see the red circle is the Chenla capital. Next, please. So this is the temple that constructed in the Chenla capital. During that time, the temple still constructed by brick and sandstone. Next, please. So this is the land Chenla capital, or Lingapura, Lingaparvata at Wat Po. So you can see on the top of the mountain, there is a shape of Linga on the top of the mountain. That's why they call Linga Parvata. Next, please. Yeah. You can see the shape of the linga on the top of the mountain. The linga is approximately 10 meters high on the top of the mountain. Next, please. Yeah, this is what is the Land Chenla look like? What Pu temple? Next, please. Yeah, this is the Khmer architecture at Wat Pu area. This is the Angkor period temple that made of sandstone. Originally, the Wat Pu temple built in 5th century was constructed of brick, but later king in Angkor period, especially in 11th century, the king reconstruct some part of the building. So this is the three Murti, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, were carved on natural stone. Next, please. Yeah, this is the Angkor period from 9th to 15th century. So Angkor period, especially the very important king that moved the capital to Angkor is Jayavarman II from 802 to 850. So at the time, Cambodia was liberated from Java, because Java is very strong empire, control over the land Chenla. And then Jayavarman II probably learned a lot when he was in Java, and he brought the architecture form artistic from Java to develop in Cambodia, especially as Professor Sanjono mentioned, there at the time appeared the Devaraja Kal, the first time that start the Devaraja Kal on Kulen Mountain when the King Jaiman II moved to Angkor area. So this is the inventory of the temple and archaeological site in Cambodia as well as in Siem Reap province. So up to now we found like 1,000 temple, 4,000 archaeological sites. Among them, 634 in Siem Reap province. Next, please. So this is the yellow dot show the 634 archaeological site was built between 7th to 17th century in Angkor region. So when the King Jaiman II moved the capital to Angkor area, he the founder of Angkor, of the Khmer Empire. So at the time he established his capital on the top of Kulen Mountain, and this is some statue, some animal statue on Kulen Mountain. Next, yeah. So Kulen Mountain was considered as the Kailasa. Kailasa is the home of Shiva. So that's why we can see on the riverbed, there are a lot of linga and yoni were carved on the riverbed. So when the water flow over the linga and yoni, it become a holy water. So the holy water started from Phnom Kulen and flow down to Siem Reap River and flow down to Angkor region and then to the Great Lake of Tonle Sap. So it means that the king tried to create holy water for the kingdom on Kulen Mountain. So this is some brick temple was built in early Angkor period on Kulen Mountain. Next, please. So after ranging on Kulen Mountain for a while, the King Jaiman II moved his capital from Kulen Mountain to Hariharalaya. Hariharalaya now relieves. It's about 15 kilometers from Siem Reap town. So the king built the king had to build three features. The first you can see the black dot, that the black line, that is the water reservoir. Yeah, water reservoir. So the first king had to build the water reservoir, and then the king have to build the temple for ancestor, like a Prak temple. You can see the Prak temple. Yeah, so the temple was built on the same platform. There are 6 towers dedicated to the ancestor. And later, the king had to build his own temple called a pyramid temple, named here Bakong temple. So that temple had to build like a shape of mountain. That means build with the pyramid step, yeah, to make shape like mountain. So this is a Prak temple. It close up there. Next, please. So this is the Bakong temple. Bakong temple, the state temple of the king. So, so the temple was surrounded by water. So the water considered as the ocean around the universal. So the temple itself considered as the center of the universal, the Mount Kailasa or Mount Meru. Yeah, so this is Bakong temple again, please. Next. So after that, the capital was moved from Hariharalaya to Angkor area. Phnom Bakheng, you can see the step temple on the top of Phnom Bakheng. So that is the state temple of another king, Yasovarman. And he also built the water reservoir, Yusau Tadaka. Yeah. So this is the Phnom Bakheng temple built at the end to early 10th century. So this is look like the Bakong temple. It's a step pyramid with a 5 tier. That means 5 level. Represent the Mount Kailasa. Okay, next please. Yeah, okay, the same Phnom Bakheng temple close up, and next please. So this is the comparison between the Bakong temple and Phnom Bakheng temple with Borobudur temple. So we can see the form of architecture looks similar, especially the square plan with the 5 tier, that means 5 level. But on the top, a little bit different. In Borobudur, on the top is the circle, that means a round shape. But in Bakheng and Phnom Bakheng, Cambodia, on the top is square, and the god is different. So Borobudur is Buddhist, and Phnom Bakheng is Hindu with the Shiva. Okay, next, please. Yeah, so this is the comparison between Borobudur. You can see many Buddha with a different gesture, and in Cambodia on Phnom Bakheng, you can see the linga was put in the center of the Phnom Bakheng. So this is the similar and differences. Next, please. So this is the idea of the using Kala and Makara in Prambanan temple, in Borobudur. To use in Angkor, we can see the Kala was curved on the lintel. And then you can see my colleague Toton, he do research, he make a mistake. He wrote Borobudur, but it is Bakong temple. And compare with the Borobudur temple, we can see the Kala in the center. It look similar with the temple in Angkor. Next, please. Okay, I want to skip this because this is the kiln. It's not related. Actually, I modify slide, but as the internet is not good, so I still, this is the Khmer ceramic, you know, produced from 9th to 15th century. So during the Angkor period, Khmer produced very beautiful stoneware, as you can see here. Next, please. Okay, after the after the king moved capital to Angkor area, so another king moved his capital to Koke, that located northeast of Angkor, about 100 kilometers. Next, please. So the city of Koke is very unique. So Koke was the capital, was the capital of the Khmer Empire in short period from 928 to 944 by the King Jayavarman IV and his son. So the Koke city is one of the very interesting city that construct following the Hindu concept of Vastu Satra with Trimurti and Vastu Satra with 9 square and Vastu Satra Padmaka with the lotus shape. So it is very interesting. Now we're proposing this Koke site to be the UNESCO World Heritage Site in this year, in July this year, in Russia. But now Russia has a problem. We do not know if we can have the UNESCO meeting in Russia or not. Yeah, this is the temple in Koke. As you can see, the step pyramid, that is the highest step pyramid in Cambodia with 7 tier, 7 level, 35 meter high. Yeah, next please. Yeah, this is a very beautiful Koke site. You can see 7 step temple, and the site is still very virgin. And the nature is still there. So we now proposing for UNESCO World Heritage in order to get more funding, more international collaboration at Koke. So we hope, finger crossed, will be nominated at the World Heritage Site. Yeah. So this is a Pratat Thom. Next, please. Yeah, look from front. Next. This is the gate. Next, please. And this is the water reservoir. Not water reservoir. That is the Andong Preng Royal small reservoir in the Royal Palace compound that bordered by sandstone. Next, please. So this is the giant Garuda from Pasat Koke, and the statue below, the Valin and Sugriva fighting in the Ramayana story. Yeah, next please. Yeah, this is the inscription of Koke. It's very clear inscription and write with the larger script than the inscription in Angkor. Next please. Yeah, so as Koke was isolated for a long time, so in 1997, a lot of looting activity at Koke. So Cambodian government claimed the statue back from US and from other countries. So now there are more than statues from Koke were returned to Cambodia. As you can see the evidence at the site. You can see the evidence at the side, the basement of statue still in situ at that time. So this is the 2 statues that looted from Koke. And now already returned. So after that, the capital returned from Koke to Angkor area again after 20 years. Next, please. So this is the after capital moved from Koke, so the capital was set up somewhere near Prai Rup. So Prai Rup is the state temple, and Mebon, the temple probably dedicated to ancestor. but these temples have almost similar architecture form. Yeah, this is Prarup temple. You can see this only the temple only 3 tier, three step, 3 level, not high as Koke. Yeah, next please. Yeah, as you can see, there are only 3 level, 3 tier. Next please. So this is Mebon temple located in the middle of the East Barai. It's similar form to the previous temple, prayer room. Okay, next please. Yeah, this is a Mebon temple with the 3 tier. And this is very unique temple and called Bantiesrai. This temple was not built by a king, but it built by a guru of the king. I mean, the advisor of the king named Yanyavaraha. This temple is unique, built by pink sandstone and very beautiful carving. Next, please. Yeah, as you can see, this is a beautiful carving from Bantiesrai temple. Next, please. So from 11th century, the Khmer Empire looked very strong. So expand to the north, to the south, and to the east. As you can see, the red color showing about the Khmer Empire. Next, please. So this is the temple built at the north of Angkor. So called Prak here, built along the border, now along the border Khmer Thai. Next. Yeah, this Prak temple. It's beautiful landscape. So this is Nomrung temple now in Thailand. Yeah, built from 11th century. So this is the Angkor Empire and the road, the ancient royal road connected from Angkor to other provinces. You can see Angkor from Angkor to Pimai in pink color, and other from Angkor to Sdok Kotum, Angkor to Bakan to the east, and Angkor to Wat Phu, the former Chenla, the former land Chenla capital. They are road connected from Angkor to Wat Phu, but pass through by Koke. Please. Next, please.
Hello, Dr. Idharat, we could not hear you.
I think Dr. Darith connection has trouble.
I think so. Maybe we can wait a bit. He's coming back online soon.
But still muted.
You come back online now.
Yeah.
Okay, I will share the screen again.
Okay, please. I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe
What
can
happened?
you go back a little bit? More. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Forward, please. Okay. Move forward, please. Yeah. So this is the very important inscription from Taprum Temple in 12th century. It mentioned about social welfare. It was translated by Zogsadeh in 906 in Bulletin École Française Extrême Orient. Mentioned that I cannot read French. Il y a hôpitaux répartis entre les diverses provinces. That means there are 102 hospitals or Arok-Sala were built in city and in various provinces. So the image here show about the hospital. So this is the Chroeng at Bayon Temple in Angkor area, showing about the hospital. So you can see the people get sick and sleep on the cushion, and the doctor in Cambodia do it. A hand on my head like that. Okay, next please.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Dr. A. Darith.
Sorry, I find another place.
Yes.
So this is the stone bridge that connected from Angkor to other provinces. You can see there are 30 stone bridge. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is a drawing of stone bridge. Next, please. So this is the rest house. Actually, there are 102 hospital and 121 rest house were built along the road from Angkor to other provinces. So we found 17 rest house located from Angkor to Pimai. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, next. This is the go to show the map to show the. Okay, next, please. Yeah, so this is the Bapun Temple was built in 11th century. Yeah, this is only 3 three-tier pyramid. Next. Yeah, this is Bapun Temple and its surrounding. Next, please. Okay, so this is the western wall. It's measured by 2.2 by 8 kilometers. The reservoir was built in 11th century. So in the middle of the reservoir, we can see a temple. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah, this is a very huge reservoir in Angkor, 2.2 by 8 kilometers. Next, please. Yeah, so this is the water reservoir inside, what it look like. There are a lot of water, so people in Siem Reap swim in this. So the king Suryavarman II, he's a very famous king, and he built Angkor Wat for approximately 37 years and dedicated to Hindu god Vishnu. Yeah, so this is Angkor Wat, considered as a small world on earth, surrounded by water, represent as the ocean around the world. So the high peak of the Angkor Wat temple represent as the Mount Meru, the home of Vishnu. So this is the Angkor Wat temple, the largest Hindu architecture in the world. And second one, probably the second one is Prambanan, Indonesia. Next, please. Yeah, so this is Angkor Wat temple. Next, please. Yeah, Angkor Wat temple is very famous with the sunrise during the equinox, especially in March, 21st March and 21st September, the sunrise over the central tower of Angkor Wat. So it's very unique. A lot of people go to see sunrise at Angkor Wat. Okay, next please. And next king is Jayavarman. I'm sorry I do in my home because internet upstairs no, and sometimes it's very noisy with the kid. It's very unfortunate I don't have any place to do it beside home, and so sometimes it's very
It's okay, Pak.
Yeah.
Dr. Darith.
Okay, because we don't have a separate room. Okay, so the King Jaiman VII, he's very famous king in Cambodian history. He reigned from 1181 to 1220. He's a military leader, and he the king that liberated the country from the charm, and then he established his capital, Yusautarapura. Next, please. Yeah, so Jaiman VII, he different from previous king that usually dedicated to Hindu, but his temple dedicated to Buddhist. He's a Buddhist king, so we can say he like a revolutionary one, and he built many infrastructure like a road, temple, rest house, reservoir, and hospital. So this is his temple, Bayuan temple, located in the middle of Angkor Thom. Angkor Thom designed with 5 gates, 2 gates at the east and other 3 gates in the direction. So this is gate of Angkor Thom. the gate with the tower on the top.
Is it for Tomb Raider?
Excuse me? Yeah. Angkor Wat was one time, and Angkor Wat and Daprum and Nom Kulen was in the Tomb Raider movie. Next, please. So this is the Bayon temple, the Buddhist temple. There are a lot of tower on the top of the temple. So this is the Buddhist temple that was built for housing the Jaya Buddha Mahanatha. So this is the Bayon temple. Next, please. And this is the Angkor Thom complex, what it looked like. It's located in front of the royal palace. It's called Terrace of Elephant. Next, please. Yeah, so now what the Angkor Thom look like. Next. Yeah, so this is the view of the Terrace of Elephant inside the Angkor Thom complex. Next, please. So this is a Nearpon temple that was built in the late 12th to early 13th century. Next, please. So this is very famous Taprum temple built in 1186 for the mother of the king Jayavarman VII. Now this temple will cover a lot of trees on the top of the temple structure. Next, please. Yeah, this is a Prak temple that dedicated to the father of King Jayavarman VII, built in 1191. Next, please. Yeah, so after the King Jayavarman VII, the next king, he do not believe in Buddhism anymore, so he tried to chase out all the Buddha image on the temple. So sometimes he revived the Buddha image to hermit, to Apsara, to Linga, yeah, in order to change from Buddhist to Hindu again. Next, please. Yeah, so from probably approximately 13th century, the religion changed from Hindu and Mahayana Buddhist to Theravada Buddhist. So at the time, we don't see any large structure after 13th century. Next, please. Yeah, only a small structure like that was built after Angkor, after 13th century, and yeah, sometimes the simple terrace with the wooden structure on the top during the Theravada period. Next, please. This is a post-Angkor period from 15th century to 18th century. So the capital moved from Angkor to the south. But in Angkor region, some people still live, but even the king already moved, but some people still live in Angkor. And they changed the monument from the Hindu period to Buddhist structure, like this one Bapun temple will build a Hindu temple, and then they convert to Theravada Buddhist temple by dismantle a lot of stone to make a reclining Buddha at the back of the temple. So this is the change. Yeah. So in Angkor Wat, you can see Angkor Wat was a Hindu temple, but during the Theravada period from approximately 14th, 15th century, so a lot of people moved the Buddha statue to Angkor Wat. So to change from Hindu to Buddhist temple, just moving the statue, not destroy the temple. So this is the very interesting inscription were written by Khmer, by Thai, by Chinese, by Myanmar, and by Japanese. So this is the first Japanese map of Angkor Wat in 16th century. So this means that Angkor Wat become a Buddhist temple in Southeast Asia. So a lot of people, including Japan, also come to draw the map of Angkor Wat. Okay, next please. Yeah, this is Angkor Wat in 19th century. So you can see there are no maintenance. So a lot of trees grow over the temple. And next. So when the capital moved to Long Vec, so from 16th to 17th century, yeah, so the red area, Long Vec area, that is the capital during 16th, 17th century. Next, please. Yeah, I don't want to read deeply. I want to show the map. Move, please. Yeah, next, please. Yeah, yeah. So this is the map. The map of the capital in Long Vec drawn by the Westerner in 17th century. So the capital in Long Vec is different from Angkor. So there are a lot of trees, a lot of bamboo tree around the city. That means the city to protect the attack from the Siam. Yeah. Next, please. And then capital moved to Udon from 17th to 19th century. Next, please. Yeah, next. Yeah. So this is the stupa of the king Angdong. Normally, you can see the temple in Angkor area was built by stone, right? Sandstone. And the early Angkor, the pre-Angkor by brick. But now the post-Angkor period from 1719, so the temple was built by brick and stucco cover on the surface of the brick. So this is Udon capital. You can see everything changed from stone to brick and stucco. Next, please. And then moved to Phnom Penh during the 19th century by the King Norodom. Next, please. Yeah, so this is the Phnom Penh now. You can see the stupa. It's called Wat Phnom was built in 15th century. So it's different from the temple structure. It's stupa. So it is to show that it is the Theravada Buddhist period. And you can see the Royal Palace in National Museum and yeah, and Central Market. Yeah, so this is a modern day in Phnom Penh. So I would like to conclude my presentation. I'm very sorry about the inconvenience of the internet connection at my home. So very sorry about this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darith, for your sharing. It's very interesting lecture. So next, if our participants have any questions, please feel free to raise your hands and or chat into our chat box. Yes, I would like to give the floor to all of participants to ask the question to our speakers. Any questions? Or Bro Israr? Any
Yeah,
question?
I'm currently looking for questions here. There's a question from Akbar Haryono to, I believe it's for Dr. E. Darith. How Angkor capital had fallen?
How Angkor capital had fallen? Yeah, I think every civilization in the world, when go up to the top, always fall down. So Angkor capital will fall down by many reasons. Based on the research of Professor Michael Vickery, we think that the Angkor encounter each other. one the people in Angkor, that means the king that reigned in Angkor, faced with the Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya was the Ayutthaya in Thailand was the international trading port of Cambodia at the time. So the Ayutthaya people and Angkor, they want to challenge, especially the Ayutthaya. They want to become a king. So they challenge with the king in Angkor. So I think it become weak. And then the Sukhothai, the Thai that from the north, from Sukhothai, collaborated with Myanmar, attacked the Sukhothai. And then the Sukhothai lost the war, and some of them came to Cambodia. This is based on the inscription. So I think probably become the internal problem. And when Angkor become weak, so the outsider can attack Angkor.
Thank you so much.
Okay, is there any other questions from the audience? If not, perhaps I have a question to Dr. Darith.
Yes, please. Good.
Yeah, I've learned that Jayavarman II liberated Khmer from the Javan Empire, Javan Kingdom in the 8th century. And my question is, how the Cambodians now perceive this history, perceive the Javan Kingdom? Because I've read in some literatures that mentioning that the Java king at that time was very fierce to the Khmer people.
Wow, I never heard about the Java king fear about the Khmer people. Probably not during the Chenla period, in the Angkor period, because during the Chenla period, 6th to 8th century, I think the Java Empire looked very strong, stronger than the Khmer Empire at the time. But from Angkor period, from maybe 9th, 10th century onward, the Angkor Empire become very strong. And I do not know when you mentioned that the Java.
It was mentioned that the ruthless king from Java. It is. I read it in some literature.
Maybe not the Angkor period. Maybe in Angkor period, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because Angkor period, the Khmer Empire become strong, but during the Chenla period, it's not strong yet.
Okay, there's a question here from the chat box from Arif Wibowo. He has few questions, but he will read by himself.
Yeah.
Please, Mas Arif Wibowo, please do so.
Terima kasih, Pak Israr. Good afternoon. Thank you, Pak Darith and Pak Timbul Haryono for the presentation. Very interesting presentation. I'm Arif Wibowo from Indonesia, in Southeast Asian history, including those of Khmer Empire. I visited Angkor several times actually because I'm very interested in Angkor as well.
That's good. Thank you.
I have a few questions to Professor Darith. All of them are related to development of a religious phenomena in the Khmer Empire actually.
Yeah.
My first question is this, Professor Darith.
Yeah.
Regarding the concept of the Deva Raja since Jayavarman II, do you think that this concept is brought from Java? That's my first question. My my second question is about a unique cultural acculturation between Hinduism and local Khmer belief. Because usually when Hinduism comes to an area, it will develop some sort of unique or interesting acculturation, which is unique to that area only. For example, in Java, we have a syncretism of Buddhism and Hinduism in the last towards the end of the classical area. I would like to know if such phenomenon also occurs in the history of Khmer Empire, or maybe Khmer history has its own interesting religious development based on the acculturation of Hinduism and the local belief. That's my second question. My third question is this one. Do you believe or do you agree in some of the opinions of some French archaeologists that say that the fall of the Khmer empires is also because of the embracement of Buddhism by the Khmer kings? Because according to them, because of Buddhism, the concept of Deva Raja is not there anymore, and the kings lose their powers. Those are my three questions, Professor Darith. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your time.
Thank you. Very big question. Okay. I would like to answer one by one for you. Thank you for interesting in Khmer architecture, as you are architect also. Yeah, Deva Raja, I think Deva Raja performed on Kulen Mountain by Jaiman II. It's the first time in the Cambodian history. And Jaiman II, he probably in Indonesia before he became a king. So I think probably he not only learning the Deva Raja and architectural form and art style like Kala and Makara. So I think probably Deva Raja was influenced from Java, because we do not see this perform before Jaiman II after he returned directly from Java. And for the Hinduism and Buddhism that the Cambodian practice long time after influenced by India, so this religion still practiced by Cambodian now. Even we are believe in Theravada Buddhism, but I think the spirit of Hinduism still in Cambodian mind. So when we perform ritual ceremony, we still perform both Hinduism and Buddhism together. For example, we have when we perform ritual ceremony, we have a monk represent as the Buddhism, and we have Acharya. Acharya represent the Hindu. So both monk and Acharya were involved with the ritual ceremony nowadays. And for the question about the French scholar mentioned about the fall of the Khmer Empire, probably the invasion of the religion that changed from Hindu and Mahayana Buddhism to Theravada Buddhism. I think that probably that is one of the reasons, because the concept changed. People believe in Theravada Buddhism. It means that people focus on moral, not on the king, not on the god anymore. So that's why the power probably not strong as the Hindu period. So if my answer refer to your question, or you still need to add more comment or question?
Those are enough, Professor Darith. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bro Israr, I have something to say.
Yes, please.
Yes. I don't have any questions, but I found out one point which is very interesting that could be shared of us regarding our language. So far, we found some words similar to each other. Could you explain this a bit, Dr. Darith?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there are some words that share with the Indonesian with and Khmer word. For example, the word kapal. I think kapal is the word from Indonesia, because people, I think, like Indonesia, surrounded by water. So probably very advanced technology in making kapal, and then travel to Cambodia and other Southeast Asia. And related to kapal is the kampung. Yeah, I think kampung also revert from there too. The kampung, that means a place near the water that the ship can park or the boat can park. Kampung, usually the name of kampung near water. Like some provinces in Cambodia name kampung, like Kampong Cham, yeah, Kampong Chnang, Kampong Saum. That means the place near water. And some other word, the smite that I do not mention yet, that we chat before, like durian also. Durian.
Durian is a kind of fruits.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. This is very interesting. Bro Israr?
Yes.
Yes. Is Professor Timbul there? Okay. I have a question. Professor, first of all, I would like to thank for Professor Timbul and Professor Darith for your interesting presentation, sharing with us today. To Professor Timbul, I have one thing that just want to ask about. Since when your current state religion start? So far, I learned that from the ancient of Java, it's different. I'm wondering, since when your current state religion start, and where was the root cause of them? Thank you.
Okay. If we're talking about the current state of religion, I think compiled from the archaeological sources, for example, from the temple, from the artifact, from the ancient literature, that the first religion come to Indonesia by the time is proof in the West Java inscription from the 5th century AD, or maybe before. This is the Hindu religion from 5 until the 10th century, and then the Buddhist religion come from the 8th century, after we have differentiate of the what we call it, the king, the kingdom, because by the time there are two opinions that the kingdom dynasty in Java is first is Sanjaya dynasty, come from Hindu, and then by the 8th century come Buddhist, Sailendra dynasty, and then by the end of the 11th of the beginning of the 12th century, these two religions may be acculturated new religion, that's Hindu and Buddha in one religion for by the people of that period. The king always has two religion in the place. That's Hindu and that also Buddha. At the end of the 15th century, Majapahit period, again, that Hindu coming again to the surface and make it the local development or local genius, and that is characterized by the Japanese religion, and of the 16th, Islam come to Java. Actually, according to archaeological finds in part of the East Java, at the 11th century, there is evidence that there Muslim people stay in north of Java, but we don't have any evidence that is representative of the religion for all. Of course, that's people who Muslim, but by the time Islam is not yet religions for the country. This is what you mean?
Thank you so much.
Which too complex is talking about the religion in Java.
Because it's really different from the past.
Yeah.
Yes. I still have one more question. Get back to the past ancient of Java. Could you explain during the ancient of culture of Java? I understand that there was a Hinduism, but was there any coexisting of Buddhism in the same? time?
Yes, that the evidence of the coexistence between Hindu and Buddhist religion was attested by the archaeological evidence at Central Japanese period. That's come from one of the Buddhist temple, as I just said before, that Laosan temple date back to the beginning at 9th century. This is a Buddhist temple, but in building the Buddhist temple, the king from Hindus is to help this one. The name is Rakai Pikatan. And finally, there's opinion that the two king from Hindu and queen from Buddhist married then. This makes that the two religions is peace in coexistence. There is no evidence of challenge something like that. Yeah. Even during the 10th century, these two religions should be the religion of the one country. Even the Hindus kingdom, there was Buddhist religion also.
Yes, thank you so much. Because in Cambodia, in Angkor area, we found the similar things. 8th century, we found that even the Hinduism was the religion of the states, but it was also coexisting of the Buddhism that we based on several inscriptions. And also we found that Buddha status that happened in that, occur in that same time.
Yeah,
we see the Indonesian culture.
Yeah, in the beginning, until the 8th century, the religion of the state is Hindu. But in the 8th century after, one of the king from the Sailendra changed the religion of the kingdom to Buddhist. That is Panangkaran, that may produce the Buddhist temple, like in west of the Prambanan, we have the Buddhist temple. And of course, that side by side, Hindu and Buddhist temple is built in close area like that.
Thank you so much for your explanation. Prof. Israr?
Yes, Pak Budiono, Dr. Budiono has questions to both speakers. Please, Pak Bud.
Thank you, Pak Israr. I have only a very brief question to both speakers. I think it's very interesting presentation describing the long history of Khmer Empire and Java Kingdom in the past. I would like to ask, there are many similarities between Khmer Empire and Java Kingdom. That's at least the factual is the ruler or the king like to move the capital city. What is the major reason of moving the capital city in Java and in Khmer? Thank you.
Well, and for me first?
Yeah. Well,
okay. Yeah. In the ancient Japanese period, there's a belief that a place is a very sacred place because as the cult of Devaraja, the king is the representative of the gods. So if there is disturbance on the place, that may be because of enemy, because of war, because of the natural disaster, people believe that this place is no longer sacred. It is no longer be the place for the good. Yeah. We find also in the next period that in Mataram Islam, in Surakarta, in Yogyakarta also, that the change of the capital is because of the disturbance of the place. It is like the period before. The problem is that the main issue is that the place of place is should be in the very sacred place. Yeah.
And Pak Darith.
Yeah.
Dr. Darith.
Yeah, I think Cambodia also has some similarity and differences of changing the capital from one to another place. I think one of the reasons they change from one to another place because of the invasion to that place, and that place, as Professor Haryono mentioned, that sometimes the sack place was destroyed by the enemy, so they think that that place not sack place anymore, so they move the capital. And for other reason, the change the capital, like from Phnom to Chenla, from Chenla to Angkor. Based on the Cambodian history, we can conclude that the change of capital is by the war between the state and the state. Before the Angkor Empire, like Phnom and Chenla, so the kingdom, it's not reunited yet. It's just a small state like a Phnom state, Chenla state, and other state in Angkor region also. But one state becomes strong, so they move the capital to other strong state. Yeah, until the Khmer Empire, that the King Jaiman II, he reunited the kingdom and moved the capital to Angkor area, and he declared himself as the Chakravartin king. That means the king of the universal, the king, the whole Cambodia, the whole state, all the state of Cambodia at the time, all the small states, even Chenla, Phnom, and Angkor, they conclude together. Yeah, and and other king capital during the Angkor period, like the King Jaiman IV, he moved the capital from Angkor to Kok Kay because of the internal problem. Yeah, internal problem with the king family. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the explanation. Because
thank you.
Currently, the Indonesian government is moving the capital city to another island. It's so noisy. It's not easy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Darith.
This is not.
Yes, please, Pak Timbul.
Yeah.
Because it's modern time, and the consideration is not in religious one, but in political one.
Yeah, political, yeah.
There's a question from the floor, from chat box. It's from Denny Hermawan to everyone. I think it's to Dr. Darith. Why Jayavarman VII statue is commonly depicted with both his arms amputated?
Both his arms? Coming again, please.
With both his arms amputated. Both his arms cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the King Jaiman VII, we can see his statue with with the arm, without arm, right? Amputated. So that is the broken. So now we found his in Angkor Conservation Office, and now can join the arm like this, the arm like this, like praying. That is his real arm now. We found new arm, not new, his old arm that connected with his arm that lost for many centuries. And now we're going to join that arm together. And we think that people break the arm or the arm were broke naturally. We do not know sure yet.
Okay.
If it broke intentionally, probably it destroy a lot of pieces. But it broke only 2 parts, not small pieces. So it means probably it broke naturally.
Thank you, Dr. Darith. There's a
Thank you.
You are still muted.
yes to both speakers. That's from Harwin Anugrah.
Maybe I
Oh, yes,
add
please, Pak.
some about the problem of why the statue has broken arm. We should take care also on about the technical problem, because part of the neck and part of the arm is actually broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Timbul. There's a question from the floor from Harwin Anugrah. Of course, it's to both speakers. Other than trading and cultural exchange, did anything happen between the Khmer Empire and the Java kingdoms, such as political marriage or inter-kingdom alliance? If yes, in which sector? If not, why? Please, Pak Timbul first or Dr. Darith?
Okay, yeah. In the end of the classical period in Java, for instance, in Singhasari period and Majapahit period, that the marriage between the two nations, between the two people is possible, because we have from the Singhasari period that Kartanagara, the last king of Singhasari, had the four wives, and one of her come from Champa. So we call it in Java very famous Putri Cempo. And then also in Majapahit period, that made possible that there's a relationship by the marriage of the two regions. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not going to answer the question because I do not know clearly. I do not hear clearly about the question. So I think Professor Haryono answer probably already enough.
Thank you, Dr. Darith. There's also a question from Sondang to Dr. Darith.
Yes.
Would you mind to explain about water flow and water pattern in Angkor Wat temple area? Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, the water flow and water pattern. The water flow in Angkor area from north to south. Yeah, Phnom Kulen is higher. It's about 550 meters high above the sea level. And then the level gradually down to Angkor area about 22 meters in Angkor Thom, and Siem Reap about 20 meter high. So that the water flow from Kulen area to Angkor and from Angkor area to Tonle Sap Lake because the slope from the north to the south.
Thank you, Dr. Darith.
Thank you.
Ms. Lakshmi, is there any more questions from the chat box?
Just addition little bit.
Yes, please, Pak.
Yeah, that the temple in Java supposed to be surrounded by the lake, and in symbolical meaning is that, as I said before, that the universe is consists of Mount Meru, which is surrounded by the Great Ocean. That's why we just found the evidence of the ancient lakes near the temple, in Laosan, in west of Prambanan temple. Most of the temple in Java were close at or near the river, because water is considered to be the holy water. Yeah. It is also possible that water is for irrigation system of the people. Thank you.
So Israr, could you check any other questions in our box?
Okay, I'll check. Oh yeah, there's questions to.
Please not forget to spend for taking picture.
Yeah, it's 4 minutes past 5. Actually, there are still 2 questions. First is from Heri Sarjono Wibowo. He has a question. The first question is, how you think the Brahmins work together in building temples at that time? It's question to Dr. Darith. And second question is, most temples in Cambodia are made of mountain or river material? The third question is it possible to travel from Brahmins from Java to Cambodia? So it's the first question. And secondly, there's a private, it's question from Yeremia Satria. Question for Professor Timbul. In history, considering the relationship between Khmer and Java, we cannot forget the history of the conquest or colonization of Champa and Khmer by the power of Medang in Java. According to Professor Timbul, is it true that in the memory of the attacks on Champa and Java, Java cooperated with Sriwijaya to conquer Champa and Cambodia? Thank you. So I'm sure, I believe it will be 2 last questions before we take group pictures and we end the session.
Sorry,
Please,
I have only one question. I noticed only one question about the Brahmin.
Yes, there are 3 questions. First, how do you think the Brahmins work together in building temples at that time? First, and secondly, most temples in Cambodia are made of mountain or river material. The third question is mountain or river, river.
Mountain or river material.
Yes, and the third question is it possible to travel for Brahmins from Java to Cambodia?
Okay. So I think when the king designed a temple or the city or the capital, I think the king probably consulted with the Brahman to design a temple. For example, like Koke area. So their concept of Vasusatra were applied, like Trimurti and concept Vasusatra with 9 square, with the Padmaka Vasusatra, like the lotus pattern. So I think if no Brahman, I think the king alone cannot design such town planning and temple architecture. I think they probably work together because the king and the guru or the king work together. Yeah. And the second, I mean the mountain temple or the I didn't understand that question very well. The second question that related to mountain. I mean, you asked the mountain temple.
How do
No
they
mountain
collect the stones?
Yeah.
How to collect
with small
materials?
mà really excited. Small.
Oh,
Mountain
small.
small mà small bộ rồi có màu thưa big size.
Okay.
River big size. Small không cứ small mà.
I understand because I don't know the technical word that he or she asked. Actually, the temple in Angkor area was built by two kinds of stone. One is the laterite stone that contain a lot of iron inside the stone with the clay, and another stone called sandstone. Sandstone, very fine grain of sand. The sandstone we can find a lot at Phnom Kulen area. So there are a lot of stone quarry at Kulen area. And the stone was cut and transported to Angkor area by river system and by road. Yeah, so the temple was built by two stone, laterite and sandstone. So that is the question, right?
Thank you, Dr. Darith. The last question.
The last question about the Brahman in Java were invited to Cambodia. This question I am not sure because even we can see the Devaraja Kal were performed on Kulen Mountain, but I'm not sure if the guru that performed that Devaraja is come from Java or come from India. I do not sure about this. Yeah, sorry.
There's a question from the audience. It's in Khmer language, I think. So I cannot read it actually. So
Yeah.
Ms. Laxmi or Dr. Darith, you can read Yosafat Enduro question.
Khmer language.
I can't read because it's like a transliteration. នៅវាជាមិនជាភាសាខ្មែរវាដូចសរសេរជា
Can you show me?
តែ HJ I'm not sure.
That means writing in Romanization or writing in the old Khmer script.
No, it's I think it is not Khmer words.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, a question to Pak Timbul, Professor Timbul.
Yeah.
Regarding the history, considering the relationship between Cambodia and Java, the memory of the attacks on Champa and Java with Sriwijaya to conquer Champa and Cambodia.
Yeah, this is right. With no more information for that. the relationship, cultural relationship between the Java and the Khmer, as I saw you in the inscription, that many people from Khmer, from Cambodia, from Vietnam already live or stay in Java because of the subsistence of people trading and so on. The possible is that if the foreigners stay in this country, because this country is safe, country is peace, not merely for protect the what I mean, not only for technical political reasons. And I would like to add some information about the material for temple. In Java, there's two kinds of material: stone, andesite stone, and also brick. During the past, when the Dutch period, always said that the differences between the temple of Central Java and temple of East Java is like on the material. That is, the Central Java is temple made of stone, and it's stone, and temple of East Java is made of brick. But this should be lifted the opinion like this, because the brick and the stone is related to the resources of the material. Most of all the temple in North Java, we found it made of brick, because we have no good material from the mountain to the north. And another reason is that the brick is for religious or symbolic meaning. Yeah, the brick has 5 elements of life. That is, the brick should be made of fire, air, and so on. So we should be aware that Buddhist temple in Prambanan, Cebu, totally made of stone, but during the rebuilding, that the inner of the temple is made of bricks. Yeah, I think that is because of not the resources, but because of symbolic meaning, philosophical meaning, and like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Timbul. I think we are about to end our session. Ms. Laxmi, perhaps we can have group photo first.
Yes.
Oh, there are questions from the audience. Can the materials, the presentation materials, be distributed to them?
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I share in the group already, so maybe you can share to the participant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's mean មាន fashion មួយពីខាង Indonesia ប៉ុន្តែស្អីជាខ្មែរនេះថាគាត់ចង់ចូលរួម
មើលអត់ស្ដាប់អានអត់ដាច់លោកគ្រូនឹងគាត់ចង់សេ
he want to participate to the next presentation. Josaphat Enduro. Is he here? His name is Josaphat Enduro. He want to participate to the next presentation.
So we can invite him
to the group.
Yeah, but he write in Khmer, in Latinized Khmer. Okay.
his language.
Okay, we contact him later. There's someone want to participate to do the next presentation. Okay.
Okay.
His name is Josaphat. Yeah.
Right. It's now time. And thank you so much for presentation, and thank you so much to our distinguished guest speaker. Thank you so much for sharing. So this is the end of the session for presentation right now, and I'm hoping that we learn a lot this afternoon. So, Bro Israr, do we have any program next? Group photo, right?
Yep, Elsa will take group photo. Dr. Budiono told me that Elsa will take group photo of us.
So,
Please, Elsa.
may I?
Because we have three slides, maybe I will try.
Yes, please open your camera, dear participants.
All participants, open your camera.
Thank you, Pak Wayan. Mas Ismail Lutfi is here.
Okay.
Second slide.
The
Please,
second one.
Elsa, you can count.
Okay. Wait.
Yes,
Still
let us know when you're done. Just count it.
not yet. Okay.
Elsa.
1, 2, 3. Again, the last. Wait.
The second one.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Right.
The last one.
The last one.
The last one. Please wait. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Lenka.
My pleasure.
So this is the last sessions. Do you, Dr. Sokhan and Dr. Sokhan and Dr. Santoso, would you like to give any close statement?
Yes, Dr. Sokhan first.
Yes, please, Dr. Sokhan.
You still muted, Dr. Sokhan.
Mute.
Dr. Sokhan, you're still muted.
Yeah, still muted.
And Bong from Chernyer, do you have any?
Yes. Sorry, I was close. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate very much the presentation of both speakers. It provides us a lot of information of our ancient cultures. And I appreciate also the way you compare the Indonesian and also the Cambodian culture. And I have also some questions before, but it was covered by Mr. Laxmi question regarding Hinduism and Buddhism, but it's already covered. So my special thanks also to Israr for the very well moderation of the session and the way you manage the file very well, and the way you manage the discussion. I appreciate that very much. And also thank you very much to all the members of who have attended this session, because today is a great success for us. We have up to 70 participants. So that is the first time that we this third forum is really successful for us. So thank you very much to all speaker and moderator, and thank you very much for all your participation. And we hope that next time you will be interested in participating again in our forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Santoso. Would you like to give any closing remarks, please?
Yeah. Thank you very much, friends and colleagues. Thank you also to Ms. Laxmi and Mr. Israr Ardiansyah, who is managing the session very well. And of course, special thanks to Professor Timbul and Dr. Darith, who have shared their knowledge and experience regarding the ancient history of Khmer Empire and Javanese Kingdom. And I hope this will improve our knowledge about the history of our Bush communities, Bush countries, and then it will improve our relationship in the future. I think the next theme for the virtual forum would be focusing on the relationship between Cambodia and Indonesia during modern times. Let me find the appropriate speaker, especially who involved in the cocktail party and the Paris Accord for peace in Cambodia. Thank you so much, Professor Timbul, Dr. Darith, Mr. Israr Ardiansyah, and Ms. Laksmi, and also to Dr. Sokhan and others. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our participants. Thank you to our professor lecturers, Dr. Darith and Professor Timbul. Thank you so much for your time, and there was very interesting knowledge to share with all of us today. We have learned a lot about ancient of Java and Khmer Empire. Especially, we have learned a lot about Indonesian culture influence, which that the two countries received from the Indian culture. And we also learn a lot about Sailendra concept, Hindu cosmology, and Mount Meru, and Chakrava. All these things happen in the two countries in the same way. So today it's a very fruitful meeting, and I would like to thank so much to all of you for participating in our session. So Isra, Bro Isra, would you like to say something?
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank you, and hope
All
to
the
see you
best.
all again next sessions.
Bye.
All the best.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.